Jesus once told a story to help people understand God's love. It begins on a quiet farm, where a father lived with his 2 sons. The morning sun would rise over the peaceful fields, birds would sing, and the sounds of life would fill the air. The farm was a place of order and abundance, where workers tended to the land with a steady rhythm. The father was a kind and patient man. He was well respected in the community, often seen smiling as he greeted his workers and neighbors. He wasn't just a provider, he was a source of warmth and stability. He made sure his family had everything they needed, not just in material things, but also in love and guidance. His presence was a comforting constant in their lives. The older son was diligent and responsible. From sunrise to sunset, you could find him working in the fields, his focus unwavering. He was the picture of obedience, staying close to home and honoring his father's ways. He understood his duty and found satisfaction in contributing to the family's prosperity. He never questioned his place or his role. But the younger son was different. While his brother worked, he would often be found staring off into the distance, his eyes fixed on the horizon where the city lay. He felt restless, constrained by the predictable life on the farm. He dreamed of excitement, of adventure, and of a world he believed was waiting for him far beyond the fields he knew. One day, the restlessness in his heart grew too strong to ignore. He went to his father, his expression serious and determined. With a voice that held no room for argument, he made a shocking request. "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." He wanted his future now, on his own terms. The father was deeply saddened, his heart breaking at his son's words. It felt like his son was wishing him gone. But his love for the boy was greater than his pain. He gently gathered the money, gave his son his portion, and with a heavy heart, let him go. With his pockets full and his spirit high, the younger son packed his belongings, waved a quick goodbye, and left the farm without looking back. He was excited and confident, absolutely certain that his real life was just about to begin. Free from the routines and responsibilities of home, he arrived in a faraway city, a place buzzing with energy. The bright lights, loud music, and bustling crowds were everything he had imagined. He quickly fell into a life of indulgence, spending his money on lavish parties, fleeting pleasures, and a host of new, exciting friends who seemed to admire him for his generosity. Life felt like one endless celebration. He was the center of attention, laughing, throwing coins, and surrounded by people who enjoyed his wealth. It was fun, it was easy, and he thought he had finally found true happiness. But a fortune built on recklessness cannot last. Soon, the money ran out. As his wealth disappeared, so did his so-called friends. The same crowds that had praised him now turned away, leaving him utterly alone. His invitations went unanswered, and the vibrant city suddenly felt cold and empty. He had nothing left to offer, and in return, he received nothing. To make matters worse, a terrible famine swept across the land. The once thriving marketplaces became desolate, shops closed their doors, and people everywhere were struggling. Food became scarce, and jobs were impossible to find. The city that had promised him everything now offered only despair. Desperate and starving, the son searched for any kind of work. He begged for a chance, but no one would help him. He was just another hungry face in a city full of them. His fine clothes were gone, replaced by rags, and his confidence had turned to desperation. He finally found a job with a farmer who sent him into the fields to feed pigs. It was the lowest, most humbling work imaginable. He was so hungry, so consumed by gnawing emptiness, that he found himself staring at the pigs' food, wishing he could eat it himself. But no one gave him anything. Sitting alone in the mud, with his head in his hands, he finally hit rock bottom. The weight of his choices crashed down on him, and he wept, realizing the depth of his mistake. He hadn't just lost his money, he had walked away from true, unconditional love. In his despair, his thoughts drifted back home. He remembered his father's house, a place of warmth and welcome. He thought about how even the servants on his father's farm had more than enough food to eat and were treated with dignity. He contrasted their lives with his current misery, and a spark of hope ignited within him. A decision formed in his mind. He stood up, a new determination replacing his despair. "I will go back to my father," he resolved. "I will tell him I have sinned. I am not worthy to be his son. I will just ask him to hire me as one of his servants." He began the long, difficult journey home. The road was dusty, and each step was a struggle. His body was weak, and his heart was heavy with shame and uncertainty. He rehearsed his apology over and over, not knowing if his father would even listen, let alone forgive him. But back at the farm, the father had never given up hope. Every single day, he would go to a place where he could see the long road, and he would watch. He waited and yearned for his son's return, his heart aching with a love that time and distance could not diminish. And then, one afternoon, he saw a figure in the distance. It was a slow-moving, hunched-over shape, but something about it was familiar. As it drew closer, his eyes widened. It was him, tired, dirty, and broken, but it was his son. Without a moment's hesitation, the father started running. Joy and relief washed over him. Tears streamed down his face, and his arms were open wide. He didn't see the shame or the failure. He only saw his beloved child, and he ran toward him, filled with overwhelming compassion and love. Before the son could even finish his prepared speech, his father embraced him in a tight hug. The son cried out, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father wasn't listening to the words of unworthiness. He just held his boy close, comforting him, letting him know he was safe and loved. The father turned to his servants, his voice booming with joy. "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. My son has come home." These weren't the actions for a servant, but for an honored son. And the celebration began. The father ordered the fattened calf to be prepared for a great feast. The whole household erupted in joy, with music, dancing, and laughter. They celebrated because the one who was lost had been found. The son who was broken was now being restored, welcomed back into the heart of the family without condition. Meanwhile, the older brother was returning from the fields. He heard the music and asked a servant what was happening. When he learned his brother had returned and a party was being thrown for him, he became angry and refused to go inside. He felt his years of loyalty had been overlooked. The father came out and gently pleaded with him. The older son complained, "All these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders, yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." The father replied with gentle love, "My son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." This story reminds us that no matter how far we wander or how lost we feel, God's love is like that of the Father. It never gives up, it never runs out, and it's always watching for our return. His grace doesn't count our mistakes. His love always welcomes us home. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.